All right, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the position table or the bite table. This is a question that came up on one of the comments on YouTube. If you guys have any questions about what I do or anything that you see me doing or talking about, feel free to ask. I'll be more than happy to go more in depth and go over that, okay? So why do we use the bite table? What's the benefit of it? So it has a couple of benefits. Now, first of all, I don't just use it as a bite table. I use it as a table to do retrieve training as well. This is something I learned from Bart and Michael Ballone at the Napopo Silver and Gold School. Basically, if you do any sort of force retrieving, there is some sort of pressure that has to be applied. Well, if you put the dog, if you use a post or a tree, you usually have to grab a chair or you have to do something to kind of make yourself lower or use some sort of table. Well, this works great because it allows me to put the dog on the bite table or the table, and then I can do the retrieve training here. I'm going to put some examples in this video so that way you can see it as a point of reference. Bring. Bring. Easy. Bring. Now, as far as protection training, why do we use it? It's a great tool because in protection training, when I want to work, for instance, let's say I want to work on clatter stick desensitization or exposure, it makes me a little bit closer to the dog's level so that I'm not having to bend over, which is one, uncomfortable, right? Especially if you have a dog that's a little bit uncomfortable, they might kind of turn away a little bit, they might drop their weight a little bit. Now I'm fighting that as well. My back is taking the brunt end of that. And the dog is not fully comfortable because I'm also taller than the dog. So the bite table addresses all of that. It allows me to do whatever I need to do, right? If I'm working a young dog or I'm doing clatter stick exposure or any sort of environmental exposure, maybe I'm using can curtains. Good show. Good show. Good show. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's it. Good show. Oh, very nice. That's it. That's it. Oh, that's it. Good boy. Okay. Good boy. Back in. Back in. Good. Good so. Back in. Good so. Good. If I'm doing some sort of exposure to it, I can certainly do it normal, right, with the drag or a post with the handler. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes it helps to have the dog on the table, because on the table I can again, I'm at eye level, so I'm not as intimidating to the dog, and it allows me to work the dog in a way that now they can't turn, right? They can't spin out of the way, they can't back away really a whole lot, and it gives me more control to work the dog, right? I can lower the pressure, I can increase the pressure, I can put a lot of pressure. Whatever I need to do, I can do it without my back suffering for it. Now, some dogs don't find it comfortable, which is one of the reasons a lot of people use the table for defense work, because if you put the dog on the table And now I put a lot of pressure on the dog. This limits the dog's space. So now the dog is almost cornered. So if I wanna do some defense work, I could really put the pressure here, right? The dog is basically cornered. Now I can have the dog in a position where I can put a lot of pressure. I can activate the defense work, and now it allows me to do whatever I need to do, whether that be muzzle work or whether that be just some civil agitation. And obviously, this right here, right? This steel frame, some people have it out of wood, it's fine. I like the steel frame, this chain, this big hardware. I trust that more than the handler, right? Regardless of how experienced that handler is, they are no match when it comes to the steel frame of a bite table, right? Or a sturdy wooden frame of a bite table. So those are the reasons why we use it a lot. In PSA specifically, we do left bicep targeting. So again, having the dog on the table. Now here, it allows me to present the bicep, and I don't have to worry about the dog, jumping all over the place. Like if I have the dog here, right? If I have the dog out in the open, what happens is, if I'm doing targeting for the very first time, which again, it can be done. I'm not saying we need a table, but it can be done here. But then I have to deal a little bit with the jumping back and forth, the going from side to side on a dog that hasn't been on the left bicep yet, right? So now I have to calculate that a little bit better, which again can be done. But on the bite table, I don't have to do that a whole lot. So I'll kind of just bring my bicep right to it, and it's nice and easy. It's another reason why we like it in PSA specifically. Now, what I do with the table is I like to bring the dog on the table first and not do bite work right away. I like to put him in here, do some feeding. I'll have the handler put the dog on here, play with the dog. Now, I do that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't want the dog's first exposure to the table to be in drive, because I am going to use it for obedience. Okay, I do use it for other things. I use it to clean up positions. I use it again for retrieve, right? So for that reason, I don't want the immediate exposure to the table to just be in drive, because then that's all they want to do. They just want to be in drive. And it's a little bit harder to get into focus on non-drive exercises. So that's one of the reasons I like to do that. The other reason is there are dogs that are a little bit more sensitive to change. So if I put a dog on the table here for some bite work, and right away I start doing bite work, and the dog feels cornered, because again, that's one of the things it does, which is why it's a great tool for defense work. But if I have this young dog that I don't want to, put pressure on, and I right away start doing bite work, this could give the dog a bad experience. So rather than risking that, so I'm just gonna have the dog go on here, eat some food, hang out with the handler, interact with the handler. I'll have the handler do some downs, some positions, right? And we'll do that until the dog feels very, very comfortable. And the progression with the more sensitive dogs or the younger dogs is typically we'll play with them, feed them, then I'll grab a tug and I'll play tug with them, and then I'll do some bite work, and then I'll put a lot of pressure. That's usually the progression, works really well. Now, if you have a really nice, powerful dog and you just want to use it for bite work, you just want to use it for defense work, then naturally you just put them on the table and start testing the dog. There's nothing wrong with that if that's the application you're after. But anyway, that's pretty much it.